we gonna have a good time and keep you in the know. Let all your trouble go. In the know, in the know, in the know. In the know, in the know, in the know. In the know, in the know, in the know.
All right, so I have the first part. All right, there we go. All right, so I am joined in the studio with none other than station manager and owner, Miss Deborah L. Maiden. How are you?
All is well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Listen, we're doing kind of a split recording today because, you know, technology is not always our friend.
Okay.
But I said we are not going to miss this. This is the most important interview for the In the Know show, because if it were not for this woman, In the Know and all the other things that we listen to via this station would not be happening. So thank you again for saying yes. Again, we know that saying yes is not always an easy thing.
Right.
And that's why every day, you know, the Lord says, we're to pray, give us this day
daily bread.
daily bread. Because we know that what was enough, what we got yesterday isn't going to be sufficient for today.
That's true.
So we need to make sure that every single day we are relinquishing that over to the Lord. And so we are just now finishing up one of your favorite songs, Never Would Have Made It. I love that song because it does continue to reposition you into that place of submission unto God.
Right.
And it does take the focus off of you. It helps us to know that without His instruction, without His support, we are going to fall.
It's gonna fall.
And so I love that. I love that music is able to recenter us on that. And during the break, Miss Deborah, you were telling me how, you know, when people ask you how you got here to the station, did you take classes? Did you go to school for this? What was the inspiration? And yours is all God. All God.
All God.
Tell us, because for you to even say all God, that speaks to the depth of your relationship with God. When did you give your life to the Lord?
Oh, early. When I, you know, being a PK, you know.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you know, sometimes being a PK doesn't always mean you find God at the same time.
Right.
And so I surrendered, actually, say at the age of 30, just trying to, you know, get it together.
Yeah.
So to speak. And it wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't always, I knew church.
Right.
I knew how to do church.
Right.
I knew how to be church. But I didn't know God to the fullest.
Yeah.
Until I realized that I needed to say yes to
What
Him.
was that moment? Because a lot of times when we have those epiphanies, those God moments, there's some type of experience that we encounter that the light bulb just goes on and says, okay, there is more to this, or okay, God, now I hear you. Now I know you're real. Now I'm ready to surrender, because 30 is that's a big span for a person that's been raised in the faith.
In church.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's sometimes where we are. A lot of times we're raised in church, but sometimes that doesn't mean that we know God.
Yeah.
We are taught religion versus relationship. And so once we learn about relationship, when you find out you don't have anything else but God.
Yeah.
And even lying down with my daughter, when I was carrying my daughter, and I was so sick the whole 7 months. And God said, you know, because, you know, being a preacher's kid, when I needed something, Mom, can you pray for me to get a job?
Yeah.
Pray for me to do this.
Yeah.
Pray for me to... God said, no, it's me and you this time.
Ooh. Ooh.
They would pray, the saints would pray, and nothing happened until I surrendered.
Wow. It was like God was training you to depend upon Him. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
My dad, he was truly, you know, and I know you know what I'm talking about, more now than ever. He was that earthly example of God. And so when he died, it was like I had to really get myself back anchored into who God was to me. Still to this day.
Yeah.
And I think we all will, because as we, grow, we come to different experiences and we're changing. But he has a way to make our focus so solely on him, because he's like, I need you to know me for yourself. I'm a selfish God. I want you to know me in a way that nobody else can try to describe.
Right. And and that's what he said. He said, look, listen, it's about me and you. Yeah. So you got to pray for yourself. Wow. And I was like, but, it was funny.
What do you mean?
Like, you can do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I'm still asking you.
No. It wasn't good enough.
Wow.
And I'm thankful for that moment because it taught me the real of being God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here I am.
And it's like, because he, because he is Alpha and Omega.
Yes.
He knows what's ahead of us. So he was like, this is training ground.
Yes.
For what I'm getting ready to do for you, on a bigger scale. And so on this level, although giving birth is huge in and of itself, he knew that this was going to really train you to depend and have confidence in knowing that I hear you. What do you think was a moment after you having your daughter that kind of reaffirmed the necessity of that season?
But even before, excuse me, even before having my daughter, I had 4 known miscarriages.
Wow.
And the doctor had told me I would never have children.
Wow.
My birth mother died when I was 1 year and 6 months old. And she was carrying. And so that kind of came along with, not knowing and not trusting, Lord, is it possible? What are we going to do here?
Yeah, yeah.
So then that's when, he just reassured me that it's me and you. And if you just do what I tell you to do, we got this.
Wow. And for you to continue to 4 miscarriages.
4.
And then the rainbow.
And the rainbow
comes. And you still trust God.
Still trust God.
So many women would throw their hands up and say, I'm not going to continue to trust in a God that continues to disappoint me, to torture, some would even say. But you still remained committed to God. Do you feel like because there was some type of history of the knowledge of God that helped to fuel your continuous faith? Because that's a lot of faith and trust in a person who seems to continue to disappoint you.
Yeah. Knowing and being taught who God was, and then starting to trust him for myself, to know him for myself, and then fall back on what I had been taught. Because I can't the teaching was there.
Right.
It was just a matter of me, bringing it into fruition.
Right.
It was there all the time.
Yeah.
But the relationship wasn't. So I had to go back and get it so the relationship could be complete. So
what I'm hearing you saying, and I completely resonate with that, and I'm thinking about parents and families out there who have children or loved ones who were raised in the church and they've strayed and they're like, but you know better. All of those Sundays and all of those, vacation Bible school moments that you had when you still left the faith. It's an encouragement to know that time isn't wasted.
Because I swore up and down I wasn't going back to church. I'm like, I'm done.
This is like when you graduated from high school?
I was age 28, right when I left Birmingham.
Wow.
I was like, Lord, I said, I've been to church more than some people ever go in their lives. Because we were going to church sometimes 5 nights a week. Ooh. Sundays, we had 3 and 4 services. Yeah. So I was just church.
So you was like us. We kept blankets and comforters in the car because, the watch night services or those seminars and conferences. I'm like, bring your homework with you to church.
I'm like, so my church attendance, I got an A for that.
A for that, yes.
But I don't want to be bothered,
Yeah.
But, and even some of the stuff that I saw in church that kind of persuaded me to say I didn't want to go back.
Right.
But then God again spoke to me and said, you're responsible for you. And only you.
Yeah.
You can't, that is not an excuse for you.
Yeah.
So it's me and you.
When do you feel like you first heard the voice of God? Like you knew this is God's voice, not my subconscious, not someone's ideas running through my head, but you knew this was God.
I think it was the night, again, when I was carrying my daughter. And he said,
it's just you and me.
Just me and you. So.
And so that kind of was a good guide and gauge for you moving forward as a station owner, and all the decisions that come across your desk and your computer to know, okay, God, is this the right decision for this particular task?
Yes. Because I've had tasks and he said, can't bless you like that with that. And I was like, but, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you saw that, right?
You're
not going to give them?
Yeah, you saw what they said to me. You saw that email. You saw my heart, whatever I did it. You're not going to do anything?
You're not going to do anything? He said, I can't bless you like that. And I said, okay, nevertheless.
Wow. So for someone that didn't have any background in radio, you know, like we said, you didn't go to school for broadcasting or journalism or communications or anything like that, but yet God told you about the station while you were in a whole nother state. You had the passion to come and move to the city where the station was because you saw the promise of it. What type of journey did you go through to be able to even be versed in this type of industry?
That's funny. But, you know, because even when I came, we didn't know anything about radio. And sometimes the way the equipment was, and we would not know how to reach
maneuver, because there's a lot of buttons. I don't know if you guys have ever been into a radio station, but there's so many buttons and dials and clocks and timers.
But at least now, this is the good part.
Yeah,
we had cart machines, and
oh my goodness,
you see the vinyls back there, and we had to learn how to, you know, put the turntable and all that. It was a lot to do.
Think about that.
But, you know, and even at first, it was not my intention to move here. I thought I could just travel back and forth.
Okay.
And stay where I was. But
no. Wow. Came, got grounded. Did you feel like you had the support you needed from moving to another state to this station?
No, I didn't. And I realized, but then, you know, I kid people about this all the time. I said, I was raised as an only child, so I'm used to kind of
maneuvering around,
by
making
myself.
it work.
So that helped a little bit.
Yeah. But along the way, I'm sure people saw the vision. And again, as a woman, let's talk about that a little bit. As a woman in this industry, how were you able to first gain the trust of the community to be able to carry this type of business? Because that's what it is.
It's been difficult.
Yeah.
You know, we have quite a few pastors that have been dedicated since I've been here, and I'm so grateful to them for that. And it's just phenomenal because, you know, I was born and raised in Birmingham during the era of segregation and all of the things that went with it. Yeah. And to come here, but one of the things that I couldn't quite put my hands on was that in Birmingham, we all, no matter what religion and stuff we always came together as one. But then when I moved to Jacksonville, it was a little different.
Yeah. Jacksonville is different, isn't it?
It's a little different.
It's just a different kind of city.
You know, everybody was territorial and everybody had their own thing going and they didn't want to be a part of this and that, you know. And that was difficult. And I was like, God, you sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
And you're not talking per se even just different races. Like within our culture, the integration and the supporting, the synergy that one would think we would have wasn't there.
Wasn't there. And I asked him plenty of times, "You sure?"
Yeah.
Because I just didn't. I'm like, I want to be in the wheel now,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
but this don't seem right.
Right. Right.
But in time, and as he began to bring things together, and I was able to understand it more.
Yeah. So a lot of tilling of the ground.
It was a lot.
A lot of plowing, a lot of planting. Yeah. How are you able to sustain that? Because, I mean, obviously you're a spiritual woman, so you're very grounded, you're very in tune to the Lord, but you are human.
I am human.
As well. So although the business side of the station is happening and you being the owner, there's a lot of your life that you're in some ways having to integrate and find a good, the word balance is thrown around a lot, but there's grounding, and even I would even venture to say orbiting, because everything is kind of floating at the same time, but something requires a little bit more attention in this season or this day than the others.
Yes.
How do you manage that business, spiritual, personal? What does that look like for you on a daily basis?
Take one day at a time.
Yeah. I bet your calendar looks crazy.
And I used to try to cram everything, and when I realized I couldn't do it.
Right.
So, I write down what I'm planning to do the next day, and I cross out everything as I do it, and wherever I left off, start tomorrow.
Pick up again. Yeah, that's good.
So it's just one day at a time.
Yeah. And with that one day at a time and doing ministry on a huge scale, because all of this is ministry.
It is.
The primary focus of this station is that the gospel of Jesus Christ will be spread throughout the world.
Right.
That is the primary focus. And so because we know that, anyone that would do something for the furthering of the gospel, we know it automatically puts a bullseye, a target on your back. Because living in a fallen world, we are wrestling against other spiritual devices. And so I know that not just as being a woman, just as a believer, and as a person, that you've had to fight through quite a few things in your life. Literally a walking miracle right now. One would not know. I mean, those of you who are watching right now, you can see how gorgeous she is. Those of you who are listening on the radio may not have seen her. You seem like you're just an ageless beauty. Like and I'm not about just making people, puffing them up, but the way her skin glows, guys, I mean, you remind me of my auntie Bernadette. I love you, Auntie Bernadette. She is, but her skin is just so vibrant and supple, and wrinkles, they are just not there. So you can tell that God's grace has just covered you and kept you through the good times and through the challenging times. And I know there's been some heavy, challenging times that God has just carried you through. Yes. And we'll talk even too about, having that healthy tribe of supporters, because whenever we are called to do big things, just like Jesus, he had disciples. He had people that walked with him. Yes. Yes. And so we'll talk about what your tribe looks like. But with this bullseye that has been on your back, and things that you have and are surviving right now, what does your prayer life look like?
It's kind of like all day.
Yeah.
Praying, Yeah. It's an all day thing. And it's prayer, then trust that your prayers are going to be answered. Yeah. Maybe not the way you want them answered. Right. But God will answer. And he will deliver. Yes. So, and I've lived long enough and I've seen enough to know that his grace is sufficient.
It is. Yes, it is.
His grace is sufficient. Yeah. All we have to do is trust him. And no matter what. Now, I can't sit here and tell you that there have not been plenty of times I want to pack up and move back to Atlanta or back to Birmingham. But that wasn't God's will. Yeah. So until his will is done, I'm here.
That's right. That's so good. As a woman in business, What type of words of advice or instruction have you been given along the way to help you in furthering the mission of the station?
I think most of my instruction has come from my pastor and listening to the word.
Yeah.
And not only just being a hearer, but being a doer of the word.
Yeah.
And just living life from the word.
Yeah.
You know, and by the word. Now, I can't say that I cross every T and dot every I.
Right. Who does?
But I try my best.
Yes. Yes.
I try my best. So, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And in knowing that's that cradle that we just kind of stay harnessed in to make sure that, you know, okay, Lord, it's a new day. It's a new set of challenges, a new set of unknown factors that I don't know, but you already know.
Right.
So give me that sensitivity to be able to hear your voice, and the direction and the insight to following your path. But in addition to that, I see that you are a part of the National Association of Broadcasters. Do you feel that this association has contributed to the furtherance of?
Not so much.
Okay.
I mean, it's something that, you know, most broadcasters are a part of, and they have different trade shows and stuff like that, but not enough, I think, to educational wise.
Gotcha.
To give you what you need, the material that you need.
Yeah.
So if it had not been
Yeah.
for God, it would have been like, okay, so what do we do now?
Right.
You
Right.
know, and
Because I'm sure you've probably seen some challenges with just the way communication happens as a whole now.
Yes.
You got the radio, but then we have
Yes.
social media,
Yes.
the internet. So we
Yes.
have all these different facets. What is something that you miss about the radio station or the days of old for the Victory Station? What's something that you miss? Uh-oh, she said nothing. She said, keep on going with the progression.
I love the progression. I do. And, you know, and I realize that a lot of people look at the Victory Station as we try to be Bible-based.
Yes.
You know, we don't just try to play everything and anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, it has to make sense.
Right.
It has to make sense.
Yes.
And sometimes the new music and stuff that we have going on, it doesn't display really God. It's just got a beat, or it's just have a riff, it just have all this stuff.
Yes.
But it's nothing to console you and to just keep you.
Yeah.
You know, I never could have made it. That song,
Substance, body to it, some weight to it.
And we need that, especially in this time.
Absolutely.
We need that.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I love all genres of music, so it's not that, but I just like to know that gospel music is really about gospel.
I love that.
You know.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite, if you had to choose one genre of music that you had to listen to for the rest of your life? This was it. You can't deviate. This is it. Which one would you choose?
Well, definitely gospel. I have to.
Well, in the realm of gospel, because you have your quartet, you have your choirs, you have you know, your female artists.
Yeah. And yeah, your contemporaries.
Yeah.
And there's some contemporary music that I like. But the contemporary music that I like is still gospel based.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
And it's always about God.
Yes.
His birth, his death, his resurrection.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
So what does that look like for new artists that may want their music played on the station, or just new music that kind of comes out? Is there like a vetting of the songs first before they're actually aired?
Well, Freddie, he's our program director, so
Shout out to Freddie. Freddie Rose.
So he, you know, pretty much listens to it, gives a listen, and see if that's something that fits our format. Because we got to realize that everything's not going to fit our format.
And everything is not for everybody. And that's something, man, I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends today about that. Just being comfortable with being set apart. Be comfortable with being set apart. You're not made to fit in. If you're fitting in and everyone likes it, something's probably wrong.
And when God made you, He made you.
Yes. In His image.
And
yes.
my me doesn't necessarily equal you.
Right.
You know, and that's what we have to realize. But now sometimes I even listen to music and hear artists just, they're trying to be the next Kurt Franklin. They're trying to be the next whomever.
Yeah.
They're not, it's not
Authentic,
original
yeah.
and authentic.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, everybody want to be the next. But what about what God really wants from you?
Yes. Yes.
That's all that matters at this point in time.
Yes.
Is what does God want from you?
And in you saying yes, what has been the biggest blessing or the biggest return that you've experienced to this date? Because again, you said you're saying yes is a daily thing throughout the day, but you keep saying it. So, and God, I believe He's so loving. He understands the value of our receiving, seeing, feeling, touching, tasting those blessings, because we are human. We're in these bodies on this planet. So He's like, you know what? I need to bless her, you know, whether it's someone giving her lunch or, hey, I'm going to pay for this vacation. Just something to say, I see you, daughter, and I want to bless you. Whether it's a prayer being answered, a door that was opened, what's something that you've experienced and you knew that this was just God's kind of chef's kiss for you?
I think when we got the FM, because that was something that was established to help AM stay alive.
Yeah.
So it was like, time's not up yet.
Yes.
we got something else for you.
Yeah.
And God is so awesome that He just drops little nuggets to you, and you be like, you're not even, it's not something you really asked for.
Right. Yeah.
But He just kind of like throw you off a piece.
Yes.
Know? And you're like, wow.
Yeah. He's like, I see you, daughter.
Like, thank you.
It's like, I see you. Keep going. Go.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me go and give you this. Just so you know, I hear you.
That part.
I'm still with you.
Yes.
And I'm firming you, and I'm blessing you, and my hand is still on you. I love that.
Yes.
What do you do for fun, Miss Deborah? Because you work hard.
I work hard.
You work very, very hard. What do you do for fun?
I don't know. I love travel.
Okay.
So that's my fun.
Yes.
Travel.
I love that.
I love travel.
You went on a trip here recently, or going on a trip pretty soon.
Going on a trip.
Where are you going?
I don't know. My niece is planning it.
Okay.
We're supposed to be cruising. So
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. I like the cruise. What's your favorite part of cruises?
I don't care.
Mine is sitting on the upper deck and just feeling that breeze.
I just want to stay in my room.
Oh.
Have a room that's on the deck.
Yes.
And then be able to look out.
Yes.
But just rest.
I love that.
But it's all good. I love it.
I love that. So as we are in the station right now and really living out your yes, what are some of the things that you would like to see happen with this station? Like, what is a vision for the next season? We just celebrated 4535, which is huge.
Huge.
There is no other station in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, I believe, that doesn't have an owner or it's being open still. I could have said that better, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That's still around, and a gospel station. At that. So that's a lot to be applauded for, but I'm sure there's more.
Yes, and I don't know what that more is because he hasn't told me yet.
Okay.
But, of course we're going through some renovations and some new equipment and stuff like that. So we're looking toward that. Who's to say?
Yes.
I'm just open to whatever God asks.
Amen.
And, but we want to be, we want to really be a vibrant part of the community.
Yeah.
And to not only be a vibrant part of the community and the church world as well. Right. And we just, because, one of our listeners gave the acronym for WCGL, said where Christ gets lifted.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that that's who we are.
Yes.
And that's what we represent each and every day. Not just some days,
Yes.
We don't want to be hot and cold.
Yes.
We want to be hot all the time, on fire for God.
I love that.
And, and our journey is to lift Christ. throughout the world.
Yes.
That men and women may see. You know, we want to let our light so shine.
Yes.
They may see our goodness, but then they give glory to God. Because all the glory belongs to Him.
You know, and it's so good, like we talked about earlier, in this day and time, to be able to have something that is so dependable. There is no question of where you stand. There is no question of what you believe. There is no compromise. There is no desire of trying to fit what's happening right now. And that's, God is, I believe, is pleased just with that. And it's a good challenge too, probably for a lot of the churches that have broadcasts or even just listeners in our own personal walks with the Lord, to say, you know what, they're still here. They haven't changed. You know, they're open to the expansion, and expanding may look like change in terms of the method, but the message and the conviction,
it's all about God.
All about God.
No compromise.
None.
I remember some years ago, a guy, he used to be in broadcasting, and we were on AM then, and we were a daytime station, so at night, he wanted to use our signal to play R&B.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
And he offered us like $10,000 a month.
Wow.
And it was like, so one of the managers at the time said, we could use that money. And I said, you know what? I said, I can't do it. And I refused to do it. I said, because God wouldn't be pleased. And He would take that money that we wouldn't even know we had it, because He's not pleased with that.
Right.
You know, he has an expectation of us. Whatever he brings to you, He has an expectation of how you are to handle it and how you're to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been offered money for this and that. I'm like, no, Madam Ruby, you can't come on over here.
Right. You know? I haven't heard that in a long time. Madam Ruby tried to come on the Victory. My God, look at that. Can you imagine Madam Ruby on the Victory station? I see in your future that there will be many listeners. Oh, really? Okay, we already got that.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
But, you know.
but it's real, because all money is not good money, number one.
It's not.
And to know the difference and being called and ministry to just making money.
Right.
Because that's truly what it kind of came down to, just the making the money. And for you to say, no, we're not going to bow, is a huge testament.
It's a testament. And to this day, we haven't had any checks to bounce. We haven't
Come
had
on.
any. God is, He's
Black owned. Come on.
He's proved Himself faithful.
Yes.
Because we have proved ourselves faithful.
That's the word right there. Because there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that have businesses, have dreams, and obviously you need money. You need provision to make that stuff happen.
Yes.
But your faith and obedience to knowing, first, you knew this was God, because you didn't go to school for it. You were living in a whole other state. You sowed into it, but God said, no, I want you to do more than just sow. I want you to run it. You move here. Nobody's here showing you how to do it. You're having to do it on your own. You're an African-American woman in an industry that I'm sure is not filled with African-American women. And you say, no, we're not playing this on our station, and we're going to continue to honor God.
Right.
And all these years later, it's proven. So that lets us know, those of us who had dreams and visions, to make sure that it is of God.
Yes.
And there's a confidence that can come when we know that if it's God, He's going to provide.
Right.
Oh my goodness, Miss Deborah. So you have one more song, and look at this song.
Trust in God.
I mean, we kind of set it up already. Trust in God by Aware Worship. Is just so befitting as we go to this quick break, because He is the only person that we should be trusting. Not ourselves, not in our abilities, not in who we know, but we trust in God.
That's it.
We trust in God. So enjoy this song, Trust in God. Oh, so good, so good. Have you shared this much before?
No.
I could tell.
No.
I am so excited. This is going to bless so many people. I didn't know that. I mean, because some people, people who take risks, you know, for like music and acting and fashion and, you know, some of those more elective type of jobs had either, you know, someone that inspired them, or, you know, they saw something and were motivated, like, oh, I want to be that when I grow up, or oh, I want to try that. And this literally came when you were an adult, like kind of out of nowhere. And here you are.
Here I am.
All these years.
All these years.
What brings you, and I'm going to ask this again whenever we come back. Well, we can come back now. And let me see. I don't even know how long we've gone. Will it let me? I don't know. We're just going to keep going for a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Just because I don't have the clock. I'm used to having that clock in the station.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that was Trust in God by Aware Worship. And listen, for those of you who may be feeling a bit defeated, a little bit doubtful, women, you feel like, you know, the world is against me, and why am I still trying to step out in faith, trying to establish this business, trying to see if this really can work? Trust in God. Can you give a quick word of encouragement to a woman out there who's like, I don't know if I should, I'm scared. I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the community, but I really feel like this is what God is calling me to do.
But just like we said earlier, when you trust in God, seek Him, seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness, and everything else is added to you. And once you know that it's God, go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yes.
It's just like Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And He will make provision
Yes.
for your vision.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times when we, you know, come across things and people take your dreams and turn them into nightmares.
Ooh.
Because you're not trusting God, you trust in their part.
Okay, you speaking to me right now.
But
You speaking to me right now.
when you know that it's God, when you pray about it
Yeah.
and really get confirmation that it's God,
Yes.
just do it.
Yeah.
Because it's a faith walk every day.
Because it's not going to be easy
It's not.
every day.
It's not.
I will, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I will say, if I had to put a percentage, about 80% of the time, it's pretty great. 90, right? Because even when the hardship comes, it doesn't last all day, like a phone call or, you know, a decision that, oh, I should have made a better decision. God will just say, well, this is how we can get you back on track.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, the bad doesn't consume us
Right.
as much as the good when you're trusting God.
It doesn't. And, you know, and once you find that when you have trust and then you have patience to wait.
Yes.
And even in our waiting don't mean we're not doing anything.
Right, for sure.
But, you know, we do the possible.
Yes.
And allow God to do the impossible.
Yes.
And then once it comes into fruition, because some things I don't see, you know, and I'm like, you sure?
Right.
You know, but never, you know, at thy word, I will. You know, and that's where we have to be with Him, to just so He knows that He can trust you with what He has.
And He builds character too in us
Yes.
during those seemingly times where He's like, I'm not talking to you right now, or you made a mistake, you know, and you're like, oh my God. He's like, no, I'm building you.
Yeah.
You got to work this thing out because there's levels to this. So on this level, I need to and allow this, you know, contrast to happen so I can show you how to stick with me, how to pray, who to talk to, who not to, who to share information with, who not to share information with, where to go, when to sleep, all those things.
All of it. Because there were times that I thought that I could dibble and dabble, but I had to come back.
Yeah.
And you know, I got that spanking.
Yeah.
You know, He spanked me real good.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, God, I'm sorry.
Right.
And I love God because He's such a loving God
Yes,
that
He
He
is.
just, when you come to Him, He just receives you just like hadn't done anything.
You never left.
Yes.
And that's our assurance.
That's our assurance.
That's the assurance that we can lean on whenever we know that God has given us a call, a mandate, something far bigger than us that we can't control. We can't figure out how it's going to be, and then how is it going to be successful and impactful. But like you said, at His word, you say yes. What has been the most fulfilling experience that you've had while being here at the station with the incredible staff that you have?
I think in 2007, we were nominated for a Stellar Award.
Yes.
Then I think 2011, and I don't forget the other year, and then we received the Stellar Awards. And at first I thought that was it. Yeah. But later on I thought, that's not it. I mean, it's okay. Right. But God, it's more. And there's more to do in Him versus on that platform. I'm not knocking whomever wants to be on those platforms. Right. But then, because like you and I talked earlier, my main goal to this point in my life, I'm 69 years old. I got one more year.
What you say? Now, y'all, I'm telling y'all, I told you about the skin and how supple it is and how she just is an ageless beauty. And you telling me you're 69?
I'm 69 years old.
Oh.
And right now, all my energy is in making sure that I fulfill the assignment that God has placed in my life.
Wow.
Because nothing else matters.
Wow.
Because like we were talking earlier, my good and faithful servant, well done, I need that.
That's right. That's right.
So everything else is just everything else.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes daily. Thank you for not changing. Thank you for being such a faithful place to land when it comes to knowing that we're going to hear the unadulterated, unfiltered word of God through music, through broadcast on this station. You know, I know a lot of young people, younger listeners, probably wonder, well, what can we do to really spread the word about this station? What would you say that they can do? Because I know I'm on the pole, okay? I'm on the post. I'm on the post to make sure that people know about this station and all of the music and just the opportunity for us to continue to mature in the things of God, to love God. And like you said, to really have that relationship with Him. The word is important, church is important, but it's something about when you know you've heard God's voice in a song is so powerful, how those lyrics are word and how it is message.
Yes, and how it just reach up and grab you and kind of like just hold you in a certain place. Yes. You're like, oh God. Because when I have songs, I just play it over and over. Yes. And I just bask in the presence of God. Yeah. Because it just, and I know the word is the word. Yes. As long as it's the word of God, that's what saves us. That's what keeps us. That's what nurtures us. Yes. Each and every day of our lives.
Yes. So what can we do? Tell the listeners, what should they do today to further the mission of the Victory Station?
Well, if you're a business, we love your advertisement. Yeah. Advertising dollars. Because it does work. Yep. And then if you're a church, ministry, or whatever, and you want to be a part of our broadcast family, we'll be glad to have you. Yes. There's so much more for us to do. Yes. And we'd love to have you be a part of it.
Yes. And we would love for you to be. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. This was a blessing. I know you all were out there blessed to hear the story of the owner of the Victory Station, and what an incredible way to conclude our Women's History Month by honoring you. So I honor you. I thank you for, through the challenges, sleepless nights, payroll, you know, all the things that are on your shoulders, but you have so beautifully relinquished it over to the Lord, and He's proven Himself faithful day after day.
Never fail.
Never fails. Well, thank you so much. Will you come on my show again?
I might.
That's a yes. We're going to take that as a yes. And thank you all so much for listening to the In the Know radio show, aired every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the Victory Station. Hey, you make sure you go out there and you spread the word about the Victory Station. Tell them they need to put their advertisement and their ministries and to put their sermons on here, all right? Will you do that for me? I'm trusting that you will. Have an incredible Saturday, and we'll be right here next week. Yay! I feel like that was, 50. We did that perfectly. Thank y'all so much. Miss Deborah here. That's Miss Deborah. We'll see y'all again next week. Bye.
Bye.
In the know, in the know, in the know. In the know, in the know, in the know. This is the place to be. Turn your radio station to Victory, where the Spirit of the Lord is liberty. Tune in to the station that sets you free. We going up right now. Please tune in, don't touch that dial. We so blessed that you wanna know how, not talking. We just living our